Hi, YouTubers. How you doing? Fellow Canadians, patriots, people worldwide who are looking for freedom. Just wanted to say I've done, as all of us, a lot of watching these live events. They're up in Ottawa and Quebec and different parts of Canada. That crossing of the bridge that was blockaded. There's a lot of different places, ones that we don't even know about. Even Toronto, Freedom Convoys. The thing that's going on up there currently is outstanding. It's good for people to show themselves in numbers. And of course, we've all heard that adage that there's strength in numbers. Yes, there are strength in numbers. Um, I'd like to address something here that's a little more important than even strength in numbers physically. What I would like to address is something of the term I'm sure a lot of you have heard is about how the pen is mightier than the sword. Yes, you heard it. The pen is mightier than the sword. The only way that you can really deal with these factions right now, the NWO, the UN, infiltration in our borders, is through status change, through accessing bonds, surety bonds, and getting wins that way. Now, you might ask, why is that? Well, what we have to understand is we, the people here in the United States, are in fact public. Now, a lot of people reverse that and think that the government is public. Well, they aren't. For instance, they're actually a private corporation and they're foreign, and they don't have a license to operate in your country to do business. Now, a lot of you don't even understand what that all means or what it's about. But and a lot of times, even to have a protest, they want a license. They want you to be their subject and pay them a fee for a license to do this or to do that. Well, those come into the policy arena, and I'm using these different words, and I know you've all heard of policies. Well, the police. Well, the police police their policies. That's what police do. Now, where do policies, what jurisdiction does that fall under? Well, technically, it falls under the Uniform Commercial Code and trading laws and doing commerce. They're corporations. Now, at birth, let's go in a little bit deeper here. They took you to the hospital, you were born, and you had a birth certificate. Well, if you notice on that birth certificate, you were registered. Now, on my birth certificate, I was born a certain day, and then 10 days I was born registered. Those two dates are on my certificate of live birth. And I got mine down at the county recorders. It's easy to access. You'll pay a fee to get it. Why? Because they're holders in due course of that until you request it and get it in your hand. And you have to be a holder of your own certificate. Now, that language falls under Uniform Commercial Code. Okay. But what we have to understand is let's say when you go into court, for instance, you're dealing with trust law, you're dealing with essentially overall, you're walking into an international maritime law court and you're their subject. The minute you cross the bar, you get onto the captain's ship, and the captain in that courtroom is the judge, and the judge sits higher in you for a reason up on a podium and looks down at you. Well, that's an implementation of authority over you. So there's different ways you can enter into a courtroom if you so choose to do so. Here in the United States, you can come in by special appearance, not waiving any of your rights under codes, uh, commercially. under any statutes or acts. All these things fall under corporate jurisdiction, which follows under international maritime law. Now, a lot of you people don't know this. Here's another thing a lot of people don't know is on our land, and we all think this is our land as citizens of a country, and we all think we're in a free world when in fact you weren't. You were born into a prison world because they already annexed you at birth when they registered you. So they already own you per se by birth, and they put a number to you before you were even 18 years of age. Yes, you heard it, before you even knew. Now, what happened was, is the government became your father. So you're essentially a bastard child. Now, that's not a bad word. A bastard just means you just don't have a father. Well, the state is your father, the state of wherever. It could be the state of Washington. It could be the state of Iowa. It could be the province of Winnipeg or the province of this and that. You know, these are factions of a state construct that's your daddy now. And you have to answer to daddy. Yeah, okay, I hope I'm waking some people up. Now, you are actually an illegitimate child and you've been turned into a fictitious character, which falls under the legal terms. Your name is in all capital letters, and you were born a legal fiction now, or should I say, registered as a legal fiction. And so, whenever the police come after you for whatever, it could be a speeding ticket or this or that, they're addressing your legal fiction. In other words, let's say you even committed a crime. Well, it says in the law that all crimes are commercial. They're coming after your commercial faction. Now, when you were born, you were traded, and you were traded on the securities markets worldwide. And your name is actually associated with a number, and it's a trading number. And that number is what they've used to make your corporate name in all caps, your legal name, with unlimited credit. Well, that unlimited credit is what they're after when they want to charge you. Well, what are they charging? They're charging your estate. Well, what's your estate? Your estate is that legal fiction account number, which is an exemption number for unlimited credit. And they access that through the SSDVK Trust. And a lot of that is through the Bar Association. Now, I know a lot of you people have heard of what the Bar Association is. Yeah. Well, they're a foreign agent operating here. Now, let's go back to land courts. Well, back in the day before things were corporatized here, I know at least in the United States, I'm not sure about Canada exactly when that was, but in 1871, they came up with the Organic Constitution. Well, when they did that, it turned you into a corporate citizen. And then they took your birth certificate of live birth, and you were definitely registered as a part of their sheeple or cattle or chattel. There's different words for these things. So essentially, you're their subservient or servant, and you are a subject. Yes. And so the police can police policies to you as a subject. Now, what's the subject? Well, the subject is you're their slave, and you have to do what they say. Why? Because they own your title. Title is everything. Now, here's another thing. You think you own land. You think you own this and that. Well, you don't own it if you pay taxes. You're just a tenant, renter, deed. You know, they've deeded you. You're a renter. You don't own it. Stop paying taxes on it, and you'll see how quick they'll come and get their property. It's not yours. And there's another word, property. Property is different than land. Property is in their language. Yes, proper. Yeah, this is propered, teed to us because we're the proper authority to relegate it. Okay. I hope some of these things are coming into mind. And then people wonder why, well, how can UN troops come into our land and enforce things? Well, they're a corporate jurisdiction enforcing policies. Now let's go back to the UCC governing a lot of these things, Uniform Commercial Code. It's the highest authority in trade, so you're actually a commercial subject worth of value, quite a bit actually. And they're policing their property, which is you and I. Now, I've taken my property back, but there's a way to do that. You have to know how to do that. Mine is full faith and credit. I've annexed my securities and I did it through my birth certificate. Well, you all can do the same thing. If any sort of this thing interests you about status change in your life, now's a good time to do it. You want to get out from under their jurisdiction. Now, let's say you do something, you're on a protest, you get arrested. Well, if they run your numbers and look things up and it's filed in there electronically as do not detain and do not arrest, you're a catch and release. They have to let you go because you're not their subject and under their jurisdiction. That's how that works. Same thing with speeding tickets. Same thing with driver's licenses. Same thing with registration of your vehicle. Well, you could call it a horse and carriage or any other kind of word, but take it out of the vehicle mode. Vehicle's their language. Vehicle identification number, that's their language. That was created at the factory. They snubbed right in there and put that number on it. That's under their jurisdiction. Another thing is you've given up rights for privileges by getting a registration, a driver's license. In our Constitution, Article 7 says we have the right to travel freely unfettered. Unfettered. Well, a lot of these, all these foreign agents only have easement rights to patrol the highways. So they don't actually serve you, they're serving the corporation to make money. And so they're issuing tickets to make money. Why? Because the police are enforcing the policies that the foreign agents put in place through pork barreling and pocket picking and being in the back pockets of the legislators. They lobby. They're in their lobbying for this so they can make money on you. That's what they're doing down in your parliaments and your state houses here in the United States. This is all part of the corporate plan. Even your city council's under an agenda. They don't even follow the words of the people. They're following the corporate structure plan and what's deemed correct for it. See, they're all for-profit corporations. Now, let's go back to land court. See, you don't have a land court here in these lands anymore because, like I said, back in 1871 for the U.S., when the Organic Constitution came out, they turned it into an international maritime law court, and that's actually jurisdicted out of London. And the Bar Association is there, and it's all a club. Now, there are some remedies out of that. You can come in through common law and natural law, but you have to go in there by special appearance and don't cross that bar. Because when you cross that bar, you're walking onto the captain's ship. Well, guess who the captain is? Yeah, you got it. It's the judge. And you are their subject now. And you are already guilty before you walk in there because the codes have codified you as a chattel, cattle, sheeple slave. And so you ended up being their subject. And now you're going to have to pay because all crimes are commercial. All tickets are commercial. They're going to make you pay an amount. So they want you to pay out of your back pocket with debt notes, promises to pay. And all those debt notes or dollar bills have your numbers on them, everyone's numbers. My number I found You've got certain letters on your social security card, those numbers show up on those bills. So you're publicly being traded by a foreign corporate entity. Make no mistake about it. So that's how the UN troops can come in and enforce the policies. That's why they're not Canadian forces enforcing their policies, because they're enforcing the corporation. This has nothing to do with your rights. Your rights were gone at registration when they birthed you. Yeah, they birthed you as a vessel. Now we're spelling it Berthed, birth, like birth of a ship. You're on the high seas. You're on international maritime law. You're in a military tribunal, and you've been codified. Codify is all fictitious language. And I've said this before. If we all spelled our names in capital letters in school, we never would have graduated, would we have? So that's all fictitious. It's code, and it's in all caps. You will always see your name in all caps. And that actually isn't a name, it's an image. It's an image that they use. It's to put it into their jurisdiction as a corporate fiction. So a corporate government is ruling a corporate fiction. That's how come you have no rights. Rights have been traded for privileges. Well, what's the privilege? A driver's license is a privilege because, like I said, Article 7, you have the right to travel unfettered. Well, here, you have the privilege to drive on easement byways that they're controlling by easement only. They have easement rights. This stuff goes way back into the laws that people don't know about. They obtain these easement rights to patrol and police for their policies, and you're their subject. Why? Because you're driving their vehicle identification numbered vehicle, and you've registered it to them, which they have power of attorney over of and title of, and you have a driver's license, which they're over, and they can revoke that anytime and take it away anytime they want. Now, a lot of people ask, well, how can they get into my financial welfare? Well, because they own the banks too. And actually, as a matter of fact, the bankers are the root to the whole problem. They're the ones who control the private corporations overseas. Yeah, it's worldwide commerce. So, you want to talk about New World Order? Well, here it is in your face. But when you go out to protest, then they come out of the shadows and there they are. And then you start asking questions. How can this be? Well, the thing is we should have been asking questions a long time ago. They've been hiding in the shadows. Why do I have to do this? And why do I have to pay this tax? And who am I paying this to? And who actually owns all this? Who am I paying property tax to? Who owns this property? Because they have title. I only have a title deed. They've deeded me that title. So in all actuality, I'm just a renter. Okay? We need to wake up, people. These are real things. We need to change our status. You got to get out of the corporate fiction and you need to get into your sovereign, personal, real life and flesh, Christian name spelling, live human being. That's the trick and that's the key. And you have to do it on paper. You have to file it. It has to be recorded. And you have to make sure it gets inputted on that electronic beast system that they have. That keeps everybody as a number and a subject, and disconnect it from those darn numbers and letters they have to that account that they can access through the SESTI Trust. That's what they're charging. They're not after you, flesh and blood. They're after the exemption account. That's what they're after. And the attorneys, all they do is turn you over in a trust contract, and they make you the fiduciary trustee for the debt. We need to know these things. We need to get together. Let's all get together. Yes, it is about peace and love. But my people wither and die for the lack of knowledge. That's what our good Lord says. Whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, or whoever. I'm a Christian faith man. in the Word. You shall know your truth. You shall know the truth, and it shall set you free. Well, the truth does set me free. And a lot of these things are based upon biblical knowledge, which is the true Word of God. He even placed that word above his name. Amen. It's good to know, folks. We'll have more on this later. These are just little couchside talks, so to speak. And it's about 2 in the morning for me right now. But this is all real important to me to get this word out and to talk to people. I love you, people. I love you, freedom fighters. Let's put where the fight counts. The pen is mightier than the sword. Start absorbing terms, words, processes, and how to get yourself free from it on paper. They always have you by paper. Much love.